Well, hello there. How have you guys been? And when I see you guys, I'm probably talking to a handful of cousins and my sister. Today, oh yes, I would like to apologize. I did not post for the last couple of weeks. And the reason being is because it was my birthday and I thought I'd give myself 2 weeks off. So I hope everyone is doing... He's barking at nothing. Blanco! So, I hope everyone is doing well. I had a nice 2 weeks off to relax, chill, treat myself, stay at home. I mean, what else is new? Take care of myself. Oh, and I have been really sick. I am still getting over bronchitis for some strange reason. Never had it before in my life. Since I've been gone for 2 weeks, I also have been thinking kind of what direction I really want to go in with my channel. I started off thinking I wanted to talk about just kind of life in general, specifically things around women, you know, like beauty, makeup, wellness, women issues, things like that, and kind of talk more about things that I like to be discussed more out there in the world, so that people who are dealing with it, like myself, don't feel so alone, don't feel like you're the only one going through these issues. I do say that my channel is for me, but I would love to have people be interested in watching, because, you know, if people don't watch, my message doesn't get out there. So I am really into true crime. I always have been, like, even as a kid, it scared the crap out of me, but for some reason I always found it really interesting. I remember as a kid watching Unsolved Mysteries, watching Forensic Files, and not searching for it, but it would just pop up on the TV, and it, for some reason, I was always really drawn to it. Like, it gave me this weird sense of, like, I don't know how should I describe it. It's an eerie, comforting feeling. Like, it was comforting. It felt like home. It felt cozy in a way, because it reminded me of, I guess, just being at home with my family, watching TV together, or watching TV with everyone kind of around you. And it gave me this warm, cozy feeling, but of course, obviously very eerie and scary, which is probably what grabbed my attention and drew me in. And, you know, it's obviously stories about a murder, mystery, true crime. And I think another reason why I was always very drawn to true crime is I found it very fascinating. Not fascinating like, ooh, I want to be a murderer, but fascinating in that I can't believe there's people out there that do this. And then I feel so terrible for the people that become victims of it. You know, like, what are the chances that you happen to be that person that encounters some psychopath? And I guess also, you know, just feeling very sad for the victim and wanting to know more about the victim, being curious about who they were, what kind of person they were before this happened to them. Maybe what brought them there, or just about them in, you know, in particular, you know, who are these people? Highlight someone that lost their life, you know. I don't know. I guess in a way I feel like it honors the victims. It honors the people that this happened to. So I'm bouncing on a yoga ball because, and also that's why I'm a bit low. So I do apologize if the camera angle is not perfecto, but as I'm sitting on a yoga ball, I really want to still talk about beauty, and definitely I want to talk about women issues. I think that's kind of my main thing. So I think the focal point of my channel will be things that are that relate to women, things that relate to wellness for women, and things and true crime. So we're going to talk about beauty. We're going to talk about makeup. We're going to talk about wellness. We're going to talk about true crime, because I think if I just talk about myself, people are going to get bored. I am a huge true crime fan. My two favorite podcasts that I listen to is My Favorite Murder with Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark, and Criminal with Phoebe Judge. These are my two favorite podcasts that I listen to the most. I listen to other crime podcasts too, true crime podcasts, but these two are definitely my tops, and I love listening to them. They are, and also there's a channel that I watch, Bailey Sarian. She's a really amazing makeup artist, and she has a YouTube channel where she talks about true crime as well. So it's called Murder Mystery Makeup Mondays. So I'm gonna kind of copy her in a sense that I'll be doing my makeup and telling you a story. I think I want to kind of focus on just biographies of women, people that I find interesting, people that I find fascinating. And it could be women that are victims of true crime. It could just be women that are victims of circumstance. Could be women that are just died of natural causes, victims of life, just women in general. Interesting. I think I want to even talk about women that have nothing to do with true crime, just maybe women in history that I find very interesting. Women that I think that in history that we can learn a lot from. It could be women that everyone knows. So the person that I want to talk about today is Qandeel Baloch. Qandeel Baloch. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's Pakistani. And where I first heard her story is from Phoebe Judge's podcast, Criminal. And that's where I got most of my information. Plus I saw a Vice documentary about her as well. From, I believe it was hosted by a writer. I believe she's a writer who wrote about Qandeel's story in a book. So, okay, I'm gonna have to try to figure out. It's a lot. It looks easier than it actually is doing your makeup or doing something and talking. So let's see how this goes. So, Qandeel Baloch. I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name. It's Qandeel Baloch, I think. Anyways, so she was born March 1st, 1990. Let me tell you a little story. So Qandeel Baloch, she was born March 1st, 1990 in Pakistan. So she was born in a little village in Pakistan. I can't remember the name. So she had 6 brothers and 2 sisters. Both of her parents were together, and her parents were both alive. So she was a unique young girl. Unique, I guess, in the sense that she was very active, very active, very kind of vivacious, I would say. She liked to be outdoors, she liked to be physical, and she liked to swim, things like that. Things that were not typical for girls to do when you grew up in a little village in Pakistan. So I think boys would do stuff like that. It was more typical for boys to do it, but not girls. So there was a little canal that was just right outside of her village. And she would like to swim in the canal. And she would just run around and play. She was the kind of girl that she always dreamed about her. She would daydream. She would dream about her future. She really one day wanted to be famous. She wanted to sing and dance. She wanted to be financially independent. She just really wanted to make something of herself. And I think the thing that made her unique was that a lot of the women around her, didn't think that way. Her family, they weren't well off. They lived in a home that was basically made of mud walls, mud roof. So women in that society, you just think you're just going to get married, have kids, yada, yada, have a family. That's it. And she wanted a lot more than that. So, and she would be very vocal about it. Most women, she had an arranged marriage, and it was with a man who later he claimed that it was a love marriage, that they loved each other, but she says that it was an arranged marriage and she didn't want to get married, but she had to. So she got married. They had one son, and she wasn't happy. So apparently he was abusive. He was not kind to her. He would hit her, things like that. And she wasn't happy at all. So she wanted to go home, and she would talk to her mother and her father and say that she wanted to go home. She wasn't happy there. But when she would talk to her parents about it, especially her mother, they would say, that's impossible. You can't go home. This is how life is. Her mother would say, the only way you would be able to leave that house, your husband's house, is if you left in a casket. So basically saying you could only leave if you were dead. So, of course, this was very upsetting for her, that her parents weren't able to help her. So I'm just using another brush. It has a little color on there because I used it before, but I'm gonna use it to blend the edges. So in 2009, she couldn't take it anymore and she ran away. So she ran away. She got a job as like a bus hostess. So someone that works on the buses, they would provide food for the passengers, prayers even, like for safe travels, and just basically welcome them on the bus. So she eventually moved to Islamabad, which is the capital, I believe. And she met this man who was a manager for models. So this man told her that he was a manager for models and that he could make her a model. So of course this interested her. Because she wanted to become famous. So she eventually started doing these little shows, and they were mainly like little, like smaller shows on the side of like bigger shows. But she did it because he told her that work could lead to bigger work. She can end up getting discovered, to be in a commercial, maybe be in a movie or something like that. So She continued doing the modeling. So this eventually led her to getting on Pakistan Idol. So she went on Pakistan Idol and she wanted to sing. So when she came up, she sang, but she sang terribly because she was not a singer. And basically the judges were just laughing. Even finally when they aired the episode, they added additional like special effects and sound effects and things like that to make it seem even more funny, just to really kind of lay it on extra thick. And they were saying how, oh, Qandeel, poor Qandeel, she wept off all of her eye makeup, and she became pretty much kind of like a joke. So they ridiculed her. They said she sang terribly. But then later, when she was interviewed, she said that she was in on it. She said, no, I knew that that was what's going to happen. I was in on it. It was meant to be funny. And basically that she was in on the joke. So you see, because she didn't really care. She was happy that people were talking about her, even if they were talking negatively about her. Because she knew as long as you had people talking about you, good or bad, that was the goal. So one day her and her manager, she decides she wants to go up north just to have some time off, get away from the city. She wanted to see snow because she's never seen snow before. So her and her manager went up north together, and they were, doing, I guess, touristy things and going and taking pictures. And she was on social media, so she posted pictures and stuff. And one of the things that she posted was a video. So the video that she posted, it shows her talking to her manager saying, she's just standing there kind of posing and, looking pretty. She says to her manager, how I'm looking. So because she doesn't speak English very well, she barely speaks English. So in the video, she says to her manager, how I'm looking. Instead of saying, how am I looking? She's saying, how I'm looking. And she keeps on egging him on, and she's in front of the camera kind of preening and posing and kind of pushing him to give her an answer. She doesn't speak English as her first language. And she's kind of pushing him to give her an answer, and he does answer her. He says, you look marvelous. And then she smiles and she laughs and she sounds happy. So once this video is out there and posted and people see it, people start making fun of her. They basically are laughing at her, because of her accent, because of the fact that she doesn't speak English well. So the video goes viral and everyone's sharing it on social media, and she becomes famous from this video, but even more famous. Everyone's posting it and it starts going everywhere. So she ends up getting a lot of negative comments. Obviously, there's people who they just make fun of her and they're laughing at her, and she becomes like the butt of a joke. But the thing is, she doesn't care. She doesn't care that people are laughing at her. She doesn't care about the negative comments. I mean, she cares. It obviously, we learn later that it obviously did hurt her feelings, but she was happy in the sense that no negative comments or positive ones, at least she was talking about, at least they were talking about her. So she doesn't care that they're making fun of her because it's giving her a larger following, which is helping her obviously make money, and she's using this money to send home to take care of her family. So Valentine's Day comes up, and the politicians in Pakistan make an official announcement saying that they don't want the young people to be celebrating Valentine's Day because they say Valentine's Day is an American tradition. It's not our tradition, not part of it's not part of our culture, and we shouldn't be celebrating it. So Qandeel, she decides to go on her social media and say, oh, these politicians are idiots. It's silly, and she wishes everyone a happy Valentine's Day. So in March, there is a big cricket match, Pakistan versus India, which is a huge deal because cricket is a major sport over there. So Qandeel decides to post a video on her social media, saying that, and she's directing this video toward the captains of the teams, and saying that, oh, I really wish, saying that I hope you win. And so Qandeel, she is, in the video, she's lying in her bed, and she's basically saying to the players, in a sexy, seductress kind of a way, that if you win, I'm going to do a striptease for you, and I'm going to say your name. Kind of teasing them like that, which obviously is very scandalous. So this, of course, shocks everyone. They say this is so scandalous. This woman is so shameless. She's terrible. She's awful. How can she act like this? And someone even posted something saying someone should shoot her and kill her. And lo and behold, 4 months later, Qandeel is dead. The thing was, it didn't matter what she posted. She could have posted anything, something scandalous, something mundane. She just had people hating her, just so angry with her, saying that she was shameful, that women, and they were saying things like, oh, if I had a body like yours, I would hide it, I would not show it, saying that she was a slut. There were men that would there were men that would threaten to rape her. People would post pictures of guns and say, shoot yourself, kill yourself, things like that. I mean, there were a lot of men saying this, but there were also even women saying this to her as well. So people were enraged. Okay? And you know, they were especially enraged because all these negative comments and all this negative attention did not seem to bother her at all. The thing was, though, in actual fact, she was hurt. She was very hurt, and it upset her quite a bit. But she would go on to her social media and she would say, you know, if I'm bothering you so much, if I'm upsetting you so much, then just don't watch me. Just leave me alone. Go somewhere else. She was pretty much like, the more you say bad things about me, the more I'm going to do it. So one day she was invited on to a talk show, and the other person, and there was also a cleric that was invited onto the talk show. And if you guys don't know what a cleric is, because I didn't really know what a cleric was before, a cleric is basically like a spiritual or religious leader, like a priest or something like that. So they were on this talk show together and they had good rapport, because apparently this cleric, he was well known. He did a lot of talk shows. He was quite a public person, where even though he was religious, he was very, I guess, kind of charismatic, and would be, you know, somewhat casual in talking about things. And he was just well liked. So her and this cleric got along, and she said to him, oh, if I'm ever in Karachi, I would love to see you. And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. So I used to always wear black liner, and I still like to wear black liner, but I find that now that I'm a bit older, wearing brown liner, this is for Asian women specifically, or women with dark hair, who tend to wear black liner. Wearing like a brown, a dark brown, or even a medium brown liner, it gives you a nice softer look. So it just doesn't look as harsh. Anyways, that's my little makeup tip for today. So she ends up meeting this cleric in Karachi. She goes there, he invites her up to his apartment, and she goes up there and they talk. So while she was up there talking to this cleric, I can't think of his name right now. I want the story to be more focused on Qandeel, so I'm mainly just going to focus on who she was versus the other people in the story. I'm going to talk about them, but I'm going to mainly talk about her, or mention her name. So she goes up there, and while she's up there, she's tweeting. So she's tweeting pictures, she's tweeting messages, things like that. So she's being kind of, she's kind of joking around with him. She takes his hat off his head. I guess it's a kind of like a religious hat or something that he's wearing. She takes off his head and she's putting it on her head. Which obviously messes up his hair a little bit. She has her, she's standing pretty close to him, being very casual with him. And the pictures look very casual and very playful, and just, I guess, unusual in the sense that he is a well-known religious leader, and these pictures seem kind of flirtatious, like just playful. So she's posting these pictures of her trying on his hat, and after their little meeting, she leaves. and she puts a post on Twitter basically saying that this cleric behaved very badly, you know, that he misbehaved, pretty much saying that he was being very forward toward her. Basically kind of making fun of him, you know, saying that these religious leaders, these religious men, they preach a lot of stuff, but they themselves do whatever they want. So he became a laughingstock. People were just making fun of him. After the tweet that she made, saying that, and the conservative people, they did not like this. They did not like this at all. They were very mad because they felt that he was one of their own. You know, this was making him look bad, which was making them look bad. And they were once again just very upset with her for putting him out there like that and making him the laughing stock and making him look silly and ridiculous. So people were mad. Well, the conservative people. And he was mad. They felt like she was trying to expose them. She was so talked about. I mean, she was even, this is what I'm using. I love this. Look at that. She, her name reached as even far as Parliament. So she was getting talked about everywhere. So one day they posted a story about her in the newspaper. And the story, the newspaper posted a picture of her passport, of her actual passport. The newspaper posted the picture of her passport, and the thing is, the passport had all of her real information there. We're talking, her passport showed her real name. So her real legal name was not Qandeel Baloch. Basically, she created this persona and gave her persona a name, and that was the name that she gave her persona, Qandeel Baloch. And this was like an image that she put out there into the media, in a way to get famous. So basically the purpose for putting this story out in the paper was to discredit her, to kind of make her seem like a liar, make her seem like she was the one that was the joke. They basically wanted to take the focus off of him and put it on her instead. Basically make it seem like she was the one that was the liar. She was the one that is not telling the truth. You know, she's the one that is not being honest here. And that he was a good person, and, you know, that it was all her. So things started to unravel for her pretty quickly. Everybody hated her. So now she was getting not only negative attention, but like mostly negative attention. I mean, it was all bad. So in the summer of 2016, Qandeel, she decided that she wanted to go home. She didn't feel safe in Karachi anymore. And she wanted to go home, be with her parents, be with her family. So she went home. And, oh, I forgot to mention, so before she went home, she appealed to Parliament's Interior Minister to ask for police protection, to ask them to help her because she said she felt unsafe. She felt like her life was in danger. But when she appealed to them, they just didn't respond. So when she went home to basically avoid people, avoid media, it was during the time of Eid, which is a religious time, I believe for Muslim people. So Eid is a time like a lot of religious festivals or religious religious events. It's time that you spend with your family, with the people that are close to you. So that's another reason why she wanted to go home as well. So she went home. And it was said that she was really happy. You know, for a moment, she was home with her parents, she was home with her family, and she was just happy. She was doing things that made her happy, like she was playing music. Like she was playing music for her father, which she really loved. And she would sit with them. She would massage her mom. She would massage her mom's feet, give her mom, you know, hand rubs, things like that. And those were the things that made her happy and just made her feel happy and safe and happy to be home. So one night, so I went a little too crazy with the highlighter, so I'm just gonna use some powder, just brush a bit of that away. Should be okay. One night, one of her brothers came over to the house, and he decided to make everyone a nice warm drink. So he makes a nice warm milk drink for Qandeel and his parents. When he made the drink, he put some sedatives in the drink. So the family drank the whole thing, and everybody just fell asleep. So the next morning, Qandeel's mom, she wakes up and she feels really groggy, and she has no idea why she's feeling so groggy. She's just wondering, why am I feeling so tired? Her mother walks around the house, doesn't see anyone, doesn't hear anything. So then she goes into Qandeel's bedroom and she sees her lying there, and then she realizes that she's dead. So her mom also notices that some things are missing. So basically what happened was Qandeel's brother and one of his cousins, went into the house after everybody fell asleep. And okay, I gotta put So basically, Qandeel's brother strangled her while she was passed out. We don't know if she woke up and realized what was happening, or she was passed out through the whole thing. I'm not sure of that detail. But he was really proud of what he did. He was not trying to hide it. He was pretty much around the village bragging to everyone of what he did, and said that, you know, he's happy because now she can't disrespect him, she can't disrespect the family. Yeah. So I guess this would be considered an honor killing. This is something that in Pakistan, and I think in other places in India, it's kind of common, where like if a person, it could be a woman or a man, if you break the rules of society or of your family or of your group, you basically disrespect them, this could be your punishment, and it's considered fine amongst a lot of people. So after she died, sadly, a lot of people actually even celebrated the fact that she was killed. The conservative people, I'm assuming. And even the cleric that, you know, she tweeted about, he proudly announced to the world that on video, and I actually saw this video. Basically what he said was, before you decide to humiliate the clergy, think about this woman's fate. So that's pretty, like, threatening, if you ask me. So the case became really huge, and it started to actually make Pakistan, I guess, and people there look bad. It's like, this is what we do to our own people, and it wasn't good. And also, at this time in Pakistan, there was this loophole in the law that basically said that if there was an honor killing, and if the family of the victim forgave the person that did it, they could go scot-free. Like, no punishment at all. No jail time, nothing. So let's say you're a husband and you decide to kill your wife because she's not doing what you want her to do. She's not listening to you, whatever. And her family agrees with him, and maybe he gives them some money, you know, there's some incentive there. They could forgive him, and he basically does not have to spend one single day in jail. So because of this, of course, the brother, he thought he was going to get away scot-free. He thought, I can do whatever I want. Nothing's going to happen to me. And the police, they caught him. They brought him to a press conference where he proudly announced on camera to the world that he killed her, and he was happy about it. Isn't that just wonderful? But then Parliament decided to do, or to start, what's called the anti-honor, anti-rape. So, but what he did not realize was legislation changed, and now that loophole no longer was something that you can use. It was no longer valid. So now the law apparently is that the family of the victim, they can forgive the person who murdered the person, the murderer, but they can only forgive them so that they don't get the death penalty. So they'll still get jail time, but they won't get the death penalty. So, but Qandeel's parents, this became well known and very publicized that they were so upset and they didn't care. So basically her parents said, we don't care that that he's our son, he killed our daughter, and she was so much better than him, and she took care of us, and we love her so much, and we're so upset, and we don't want him to be exempt from the death penalty. Give him the maximum punishment, which is pretty crazy, just because, one, that's their son, but secondly, the main reason why it was crazy too was these parents were basically standing up for a daughter, a woman who was out there, you know, kind of, you know, breaking the rules of society, being very, you know, obvious about it, being very open about it, and they didn't care. They said that this was Qandeel, this was just her personality, that's just the way she was. She wasn't bad, she wasn't a bad girl. She wasn't a bad person. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She was just being herself. And we loved her. She was a good girl. And they were proud of her. So the trial lasted 3 years. And her brother wasn't the only person that was a suspect. So there was her cousin, there was a neighbor, there was like a driver of the getaway car or whatever. That cleric was also suspected to be involved. So basically, this is not confirmed, but it's suspected that that cleric paid her brother to do it, to kill his sister. And he was just using the reason of the fact that, oh, she disrespected my family and she disrespected me and this is why I had to do it, you know, blah, blah, blah. But it was an excuse because she had been famous for quite a while up to that point. So if you were so upset with her, why didn't you kill her right away? Like, why didn't you kill her years ago? Why did you wait to kill her now? So apparently the rumors are also that the cleric, he paid investigators. He was basically a wealthy, powerful man. He had a lot of influence, a lot of power. So after a couple of years into the trial, her parents did change their mind. They didn't want their son to be executed. They probably didn't want him to do any jail time either, but obviously they didn't have any control over that. So they wrote a letter and they basically pleaded to the government to let him off the hook. They were hoping that if they appealed, they can somehow help him. But their appeals were denied. And on September 27th, 2019, her brother, he didn't get the death penalty, but he did get life in prison. I don't think I'm gonna put fake lashes on today. Just because, I mean, they're not uncomfortable, but they're not comfortable, if you know what I mean. I just don't feel like wearing them today. Or I might change my mind, we'll see. Right now, I don't think I want to put any on. So, Qandeel's death really affected the youth in Pakistan. I believe it made them all think, wow, if this can happen to her, you know, this can happen to us. You know, is this what we're about? Is this our society? And it really made them think about, you know, what was important to fight for in their world, in their country. So Qandeel's mother, her family, they buried her, and her mother put henna on her hands and on her feet, and she shrouded her. She wrapped her in a white cloth. She kissed her hands, kissed her feet, and apparently in Pakistan this means this is what you would do for a martyr. So basically this was her mother's way of saying that, you know, her daughter is a martyr. She was an honorable person and she died for a cause. When I listened to the episode in Criminal, the podcast Criminal, a lot of the discussions about Qandeel were by this writer, which I don't know the name, but all the stuff that I don't know the name, I'm gonna put the information in my description box. I'm gonna put in the description box the products that I used. So I hope you guys enjoyed my story today about Qandeel Baloch. I just want to thank anyone who listened to my stories today. I'm really fascinated with strong women, women who are brave, who are not afraid to speak their mind. And I believe that is the kind of person Qandeel Baloch was. And as you can see, she is a beautiful woman on the outside, but most importantly, she was a beautiful person on the inside. And she was so brave, I think, you know, to talk about things and portray herself as a certain way and to speak up about a lot of things that a lot of people didn't talk about, a lot of people are afraid to talk about, a lot of people don't agree with, and that can be really detrimental to your image, the way people think of you. And in her case, in the end, it was detrimental to her life as well. So I hope you enjoyed the story. I get really fascinated about all these women. When I learn something new about someone that I don't know, or even someone that I know, I want to know more. So I start researching, kind of Googling and digging into things and YouTubing stuff about that person, because I just want to know more about them. I hope you guys enjoyed the story too. And what did we learn today? I think what we learned was, yes, it is scary, and I guess it could be dangerous when you speak up, when you speak your mind. And it's so sad that she lost her life and that she can't continue on doing what she did and living her life and being with her family. And her family has lost a daughter. Because of her bravery, I think she left an imprint on the world, and she left an imprint on me. I admire her tenacity, her braveness. Please love yourself, take care of each other, and thank you for watching.